Coming up on Unpacked.
I was raped by my cousin, or my dad's cousin. Unfortunately, I directed my hate to my father. It's about Mooa, because now they know the truth. Then the following day, I took the bus, then I left. It always ended with one thing, having sex. I would still have to find another man that I was going to sleep with for a roof to sleep under.
A prostitute at the age of 15. Today's guest is here to share her story. Let's unpack. It was two traumatic events in Limpopo-born Mmathabo Mooa's childhood that would lead to great mistrust and heartbreak. It is these events that would lead her to her making a series of drastic decisions in her teen years, seeing her live on the streets and prostituting her body to survive. This is part one of her story. Let's unpack. Mmathabo, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So take me back to your earlier childhood memories. What was life like?
I think it was fun. It was peaceful, cheery, and almost too close to perfect for some time.
Who was in the household when you were a small child?
We stayed at my grandmother's, so it was me, my mom, my aunt, her kids too, and my other aunt.
And where was Papa?
Papa has always been a hustler. He was this side because I was in Limpopo.
Oh, okay, so he was in Gauteng.
Working this side, yes. Yeah.
So at some point, your childhood changed. What happened to you?
I think it changed when I turned 7. After I was raped. Things got a little awkward for me.
What happened exactly?
I was raped by my cousin, or my dad's cousin, who was our neighbor.
So like an uncle?
An uncle, yes.
And how old was he about?
I think he was around 18, 19, but he was older.
What was happening at the time? Did he come into the house or what happened? Because you're small at that age of 7.
Yeah, because I love to play. I love to play. I went to his house. He had little sisters. So I was hoping that I would find them, then we play. But unfortunately, no one was home, only him. I knocked on the door and he opened the door and greeted. He was wearing brown pants and nothing on top. So there was no shirt on. And then I asked him where my lady cousins were at. And he said that they were not home. But you can come in. Of course, I was unsuspecting of anything going wrong because that's where I hung out most of the time. And then I sit down. Normally, we would have tea when I was at his place, but we didn't have tea. He carried me and on his shoulder, like so. And he took me to the bedroom where there was 2 beds. There was one here and one on the other side. And then he took off my panties and my skirt. I was wearing a white skirt that had flower prints on it, and then he put it aside. And then he unbelted his belt and took out his penis, a large-sized penis, and he penetrated me.
While you were a child?
Yeah, I was a child. I didn't know if I should scream, should I say anything, what is this, what is happening? All those questions I had, but I couldn't do anything. I just froze there until he was done. He penetrated me. And the only thing I could remember is the slimy things that he left between my thighs. And from there, he took me back to where I got in first and then sat me down for some time. And then eventually he let me go.
What did he say to you?
He said nothing.
Just said nothing?
Nothing at all. No, sorry, no, don't tell anyone, no, nothing.
But did you get a sense that you shouldn't tell anyone?
I couldn't bring myself to think about how I would describe it. We can't curse at home. We cannot be calling vagina. Even like I said, it sounds worse. So
yes.
How do I even say that? So I get home.
And I think it's important for us to make note of the fact that because in many homes it's wrong to talk about private parts. How do you describe what somebody did to you when you can't even, you are swearing, you are cursing?
Yes.
So now how do you explain to somebody, motomogolo, that you respect without using those words?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know what rape was. I didn't even know what sex was as well.
Yeah.
So that's why I couldn't tell anyone, because that would be cursing.
Do you remember how you felt afterwards?
I was out of place. I was scared, and I felt very awkward. You know, because I stank. I didn't even know how to act around my parents, because I when I got home, my aunt was there, my mom was there, but there was nothing I could do besides just sit down and keep quiet. But I felt like there was just something wrong that happened. But then how do I say it? And to whom do I say it?
What was the next significant thing that happened in your life after that?
I think when I was raped again at the age of 9, that's when I thought, this can't be normal. I mean, why me? Why is this happening?
Who was it that raped you at that age?
It was a cousin of my dad's again, but it was someone completely different from the first one. So this one didn't stay too close to us, but then it was on the same streets. And I think I had a thing for playing, and I had a thing for families that were big, because all these people had people that I loved hanging out with and playing with. And they were a loud crowd. Both families were loud. So I loved hanging around them. I think that was my weakness, because that's where the bad things happened. So when it happened the second time, it was not a neglected situation, because he raped me in a room that had people in it. We were sleeping. It was during bedtime. So we were on the floor. His sisters were sleeping on the bed. Then the kids were on the floor. And we were sharing. I think it was maybe about 6 or 5 of us on the floor. I can't really remember how many we were, but then it was a number. So he snuck upon me with his hands. You know, you can imagine, a person who fatang mashaka for the whole day. Then they're busy king. I don't know what it's called in English. And with those long nails and scratches. So I didn't know, do I say ouch? Do I scream? Do I tell him to stop? But then this is not new. This happened before. So what do I do? I think that one was the most king. I guess we gave it wrong because there were people, but even the thing you scream, I was not there. I could think about it, but how am I going to explain this? What is this that's happening? You know, I didn't know how to react. Then he did it again. He raped me again. And I think the night went on like nothing happened until the next day. Yeah.
Did a part of you feel like if you tell, you might get in trouble?
Yeah. Yeah. And again, the thing with not knowing how to explain it or how to tell it without sounding insulting was there as well. How do I say it? How do I explain it? What do I do? I didn't know what to do. And there was no one that I would ask that I felt like I could trust them, or maybe they were open enough. No one was open enough for me to go and ask them about what had happened. Or yeah.
So now these 2 incidents happened to you, which basically, you know, transform and change your childhood. What was life like after you were raped a second time?
I think trauma is something else. So I kind of isolated a bit because I think I noticed that this is where these things happen. So maybe I should stay home with my boring family, because I only had one brother then. It was me, my brother, and my mom. We had moved away from the first place that we were staying at. So now we're staying at our own home. So I resorted to watching TV, keeping a small circle, playing in the streets, then coming back home. No sleepovers, no visiting places that will expose me to main, like the 2 that I had met before. And that's how it went on. Emotionally, I was wrecked, I think, because I was being too cautious of things that child shouldn't be worrying about. You know, you cannot be 9 and be guarding what the next person a guy is going to do next and things like that. Yeah.
What was life then becoming like as you were reaching the stage of puberty and becoming a teenager?
I think maybe after some time, because I think I only hit proper puberty at 13. I think I had found a way to cope or try and put what happened past me. So I did what other people my age did, having a first crush, gay. And then school, and continue with playing, actually joined the soccer team. I was outgoing and everything seemed fine, really. Yeah. What happened in the past had been past me, and I was no longer pondering what had happened and things like that. I think I was getting comfortable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or maybe have forgotten about it. I cannot exactly remember, but then I was not dwelling on it anymore.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So what was it that eventually led to you deciding to leave home? What was happening?
Because at 13 I was fine. But then at 15, because now there's this dating and things like that, I think some things happened that triggered me. I don't know exactly what had happened, but then I got triggered that there's actually something like this that happened. I'm still curious. Does this happen to everyone? Is everyone my age ever gone through what I went through back then? And unfortunately, I directed my hate to my father. I hate that man so much. And Leana, he was not nice with words sometimes. I think I was emotional as a person, so I took everything personally that he said. Even things that were not meant to hurt me, because they were said by my father, whose cousin have raped me, then gives me a ticket to hate him because they are from his family. And
so you basically started to be angry.
Yes, but then I directed mostly to my dad. So there was a time he came home from Johannesburg to stay in Limpopo. So he took some time at home, and that's when I experienced his more than when he's this side. And then I thought, I really hate this guy. I really need to get rid of him. So I wanted him to die. And I forged a letter sending it to the school saying that I have to attend some school where they're going to be paying this much for me to attend computer classes and things like that. Because he was unwell, I was hoping that they would take that money, take me to the school so they can run out of money eventually, then my dad can die. Because they won't be able to finance his doctor's appointments and things like that. It went on, the plan went on. They were not suspicious because I went as far as stealing the school stamp to stamp on the letter to make sure that it's properly did. So when the plan failed, and now with the anger and with not knowing what to do next, my father was, if you piss him off, if you get to him, then he's going to get you. So I became Mooa because now they know the truth and I've been stealing from them.
How did they discover?
I think they went, because my dad is very jumpy. So because there was no school, I was just basically catching a bus, go to Polokwane, buy earrings, do my hair, things like that. I think I was still stupid because where do you get money? And then when I got back home, my dad would ask, where did you get all those earrings? I'm like, those earrings, those kind of things. Where did you get the money to do your hair? Then he asked my mother to go and follow up at the school. Then that's when I realized that I'm caught. Then the following day I took the bus, then I left. I left home. That's when I ran away with just a backpack.
So what did you pack in the backpack?
It was, I think, a polo neck, jeans, a skirt, and some top and some pumps. And then I left. That was it.
Did you hate your father because you feel he should have been there to protect you?
It was not about protection. It was just that they're from his family. Yeah, so I hate him. And I think he was the only male around me then, or who I felt like I should just take it out on him. That's what I think. But he had no control over that because he was not even home at that time. So it's impossible for me to pin it on him.
So you took a bus from which area were you staying in at the time?
I was Bekele Ramphahlele Lukuru.
Waya Kai.
Kaya Polokwane. Yes. Waya Polokwane, that's when I felt like maybe I was free and I didn't have to worry about the outcomes of what I had done at home. And I was practically homeless. I was homeless, but...
Where did you arrive and what did you do when you got there?
I got off a bus and I roamed around the streets, just walking around and looking at things, going shop to shop, looking, getting food, sitting down, then walking again. Then I caught a bus to Leboa home. And then that's when it kicked in that I'm actually homeless, but I'll make it worth it. I'll make it fun. Because I think those were the early days, so everything felt like it was going to be epic. It was going to be fun. And in Leboa home, I walked around again until a guy picked up on me, and then we hung out for drinks. Then later on, it was...
By a guy, do you mean a guy or do you mean a man?
A male person.
So I want to... The reason I'm specifying, a guy, when you're a 15-year-old girl, we're assuming is your peer.
Yes.
Whereas me saying a man, I'm talking about somebody who is an adult that is with a child.
Yeah.
So are we talking somebody who is an adult and over 18, a man?
A man.
A man.
A man. An adult.
An adult.
Not anyone my age. I don't think I've ever hung out with someone my age at that time.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So he was an adult and we hung out for drinks. We spoke a lot of things. I don't even know what, because what does a 15-year-old talk about? I can't remember those details. So, it always ended with one thing, having sex. Then the following day, it's me and the
As in,
again.
You're hanging with this man, and then he takes you back to his place.
Yes.
Is it somebody who has a car, or you guys took transport together?
I cannot exactly remember that detail, but then I'm betting that it was a car because I walked around in the streets and sometimes near where cars pass and things like that. Yeah, so that was it.
Go back to his place, and then would he give you food? Would he give you money?
Food, yes, and then it's sex, then it's a shelter to sleep under. That was okay. It seemed like it was enough. And then it wasn't even about money at first. It didn't start with money. And then the following day, no strings attached, I hit the road, then they go back to their own lives. And then it continued like that every single day until I got tired, I guess.
So every day, basically, you'd be getting picked up by men.
Yes.
Do you think that they knew you were under 18?
They knew. I believe they knew. I mean, I was skinny, tiny, and I think anyone who's an adult can tell through conversations when you're speaking with a 15-year-old and when you're speaking with someone who's older that there's difference there. So I would really love to think that they knew, because we did not disclose ages, and I really didn't see a need to tell them, hey, I'm 15 years old. I didn't do that, and they never ask. So
of course they're not going to ask, because they can plead, they can always say, I didn't know she was underage.
Yeah, true.
So it's easier not to ask, even though you know a person's a minor, because they knew it was rape.
True.
So you say that it was not about money at first.
At first,
When did it become about money? When did you actually start saying, I am doing this for money?
After some time, because like I said, at first it was epic, it was fun. It seemed like a thing that I can do daily and I can live on. And then eventually, people are different. You're gonna meet those ones that are gonna shag you right now and be like, hey, my girlfriend is coming, can you go? Then I'm left without a place to sleep. I can't get food. And I still have to go back to the streets. So I need to have money to have food should I get kicked out or someone makes excuses for me to leave. Yeah, so that's when I started making advances, You gotta give me money. I want money, yeah.
And how much would they give you?
It was maybe 300 rands or less sometimes. People are different, Yeah.
So in this time, I mean, I can only imagine that it may have felt like it's an adventure because you're away from the restrictions at home,
yes.
but also you're away from having to face the reality of what happened to you and having to face your father, who at that point you were directing your anger towards. Were you not afraid with some of these men? Were you not scared?
Like I said, trauma is something else. I was fearless. I didn't think that they would kill me or rape me or do anything unthinkable. I wasn't scared. I had no fear.
Is it that you had no fear or that you didn't care?
Maybe a bit of both. Yeah.
Because it's almost like there's a part of you that has to just not care for you to not be afraid in certain circumstances. So you start getting given money, and if you get kicked out and you've been given money, where would you sleep?
I would still have to find another man because there's accommodations that you can book, wasn't there? So having money was just to buy food, go sit down somewhere, have a drink or something like that. So I would still have to find another man that I was going to sleep with for a roof to sleep under at the end of the day.
Yes. So, that just became your daily routine. Yes. So what happened next after this period of you roaming the streets, meeting different men, grown men that were engaged, like basically raping you because you were a child? What happened after that?
After that, I think because I was between Lebogile and Polokwane, I was in Polokwane sometime, and then I met this lady who said she knew someone who has a place to stay. Because I think I opened up to the lady in a taxi, and I told her that I was homeless. Then she was like, "No, I know someone who you can stay with. It's so and so, and I will take you to her."
So just so I understand, this whole time you don't have a cell phone, ne?
No, I don't.
So it's not like your family could try and phone you somewhere?
No.
Yeah, so you don't have a cell phone and they don't know where you are.
Yeah.
You've left Gai.
Yeah.
Okay, so then what happened with this lady?
This lady, I go with her to her place. And then I think it was around 7 or maybe later, we went out to the lady's place. And then we get there, it's... I don't know how to describe it, but it's a place near a mine. And in that mine, there's something that looks like a pub or a tavern. And then between that, there's also a residential area, I think. Maybe it was for the miners or something because it was a little community. It wasn't that large. So we meet this lady, and she seemed okay. We first met at that tavern. Yes, I think older than my mom or the same age. But she was old. She was very old. I can never forget her face. We walk into the tavern, and she's right at the door. She was wearing a bottle of Black Label, a large one. Then she greets. Then the lady says, "Okay, mamang, let's call her Ntabi for now. Ntabi ke o, Ntabi okay ke Mmathabo o ke kopane le ena le go nagane le mo a dula." Then she's like, "No, you can stay with me. It's fine. It's not a problem. It's not a problem. Let's stay here. Then you go to my place later." And I was like, "Oh my God! Finally, my vagina will get a break." And then we stayed there. We had drinks. Then eventually the lady...
Bourgeois. When you say drinks, you mean alcohol?
Alcohol. We had alcohol. We had alcohol, and then after some time, the lady that I had come with left us. And then late, I left with Ntabi. Then we went to a place.
The reason I'm specifying it's alcohol is because I'm trying to establish the fact that you're around grown folk who knew you were a child, who probably has a home and a family looking for her.
Yeah.
And instead they're like, "No, come, drink with me," and all these things. Yeah. So now you left with Ntabi, and what happens?
And eventually the place had to close. It was late. And then we went to her place. We get to her place. She opens the door and there's this spirals, single base spirals. Kiona and a thin
Mattress on top.
Yeah, and then on the other side, and she says, "This is my place." And then the prime stove on the side. And I felt like it felt good to have a roof to sleep under without having to open your legs. So I had some sort of relief, but also there were concerns. The door didn't look like it can close. Suddenly, I felt like I wasn't safe. Yeah. And she made me feel welcome. And I stayed there for a night. The following day, we woke up. We had to have breakfast. There was nothing. There was only some ginger ale, 2 liter, and beans. And the beans had to be cooked, I think maybe a handful. Then Tabi was like, "I'm coming back now. I'm going to look for food." And then she left, still with a bottle in her hand. And I was left alone. Then I thought to myself, really, this is what things have come to be. Or what am I doing here? Because the place was popular and that's where prostitutes hung out around the area. And now I was a part of them and I was only 15. So I think...
And by this point, how long had you been away from home?
I think 6 or 7 months.
Wow.
Yeah. That's when it hit me that this is unsafe. And really, what am I going to do here? What exactly am I going to be doing here? So I think some sense came. I think maybe when I hung around people that were like me, it made me see myself because I was always too occupied with things, running around, getting laid. But then eventually I had to see people that are like me, directly doing the things that I was doing, you know.
Next time on Unpacked.
This time I'm going to leave and I'm never coming back. She was mad, she was all sorts of things, but then she wasn't like insane. I thought that was the biggest turning point for me. People really have love. People do care. But I think when you're caught up in your own things, you don't even see it. Time does heal if you choose to heal.
Thank you so much for watching Unpacked with Relebogile Mabotja. Make sure you subscribe to my channel where you can get to watch more episodes. But more importantly, you can be part of our online community. Comment down below, share with us who you'd like to see on the show, what story you'd like us to discuss. We love engaging with you. Keep it coming and don't forget to subscribe.